being the strengths and the weaknesses come from within your team. The external factors, your opportunities and threats, again, are outside forces that you really have no control or way of mitigating as much. And your goal always is to move your weaknesses and threats into one of these two categories, either the strengths or your opportunities. If you take a look, whoop, not working now. Todd, what'd you do to my stuff here? All right, I'll just, did the microphone go off? This one.
This is a touch screen only.
Yep. But what about my, how can I
try?
There you go. Okay, so I'll get into what this is and what it isn't. It's not, this is just an analyzation tool. We use it on our team more post-mortem after an event. We go through our SWOT training or SWOT analysis. And right now we're taking a look at SWOT analysis again over the next couple of weeks. Strategic planning, brainstorming, decision-making. When we start talking about all of these things, new rules, regulations can upend current policy. So that would be taking a look at something that would be a threat. When we went to that no bag period, that was something that we had to adjust to. We had to realize we got to do things differently. Obviously, COVID, the pandemic, new policies, that would be something that was also outside of it. Changes in team structure, leadership turnover, again, something that you can mitigate within the own team. Pretty easy to take care of if you know how to go about structuring that with it. And then taking on new challenges, that's your opportunities here. And really, oh, there it goes. Sweet. When we get to the opportunities, we'll talk about that as well. I don't have a lot of time, but we'll get through to that point at least. And then other factors, including updating team objectives, trends, et cetera, we'd mentioned earlier with resetting team culture. Your critical success factors, when you take a look at SWOT analysis, being able to identify where your strengths are, your critical success factors, and then give your team its competitive advantage. For 4607, we always take a look at our strengths first. We identify those strengths and make sure that they still are our strengths, and then we build on those, we expound upon those, we make sure that that's something that our team is going to be continually known for. Identifying these strengths is the first step to maintaining your competitive advantage, is what I talked about that. And then the understanding the growth mindset involves finding ways of using and building upon these sets. So always understand that your team has to grow. It can grow in a lot of different directions. You want to maintain something that has semblance of moving forward when you're talking about growth. Minimizing weaknesses. These are the characteristics that put your team at a disadvantage to others. Conducting a SWOT analysis can help you identify these characteristics. I really want to get to where my team was at when we first started going through this. When conducting a SWOT analysis, it's important to be very, very candid about what's going wrong on your team and areas that you can identify as weaknesses. It's not anything to hide from. It's something to look forward at changing and growing as well. Seizing opportunities. SWOT analysis can help to identify these opportunities that your team could take advantage of. And sometimes they're hidden within the weeds. Never would I have expected having Jumpstart fermenters at this type of facility. We've always been open to allowing other people to come in and tell us how to do things. That's one of the things that I've realized. I've been in public education a long time. I've got no ego left. It's been trampled down pretty thin, and I've got fairly thick skin along with that. So if someone can come and tell me what I need to do different or what needs to be done better, that's one of the reasons why, again, Jumpstart has changed and grown the way it has, along with 4607. A note of caution, this is the big part. If your team doesn't have the capability to seize an opportunity and you decide to anyways, this could definitely be a weakness for your team. This could be something that could be drastically damaging to your team. When we first started the Jumpstart right away, it wasn't the fact that 4607 was going to go this alone. We realized right away that we needed the hub to help us. Well, we didn't have a hub to help us, so then we had to grow a hub. So our first meeting with 6 teams, we said, hey, we're going to do this training sessions. You guys want to help lead them? Because we don't even know what we're doing with this stuff. Counteracting threats. Threats are external factors. The biggest things that I always come in contact with when it talks about threats is administration policy. When administration changes, you're going to expect there's going to be brand new sets of policies that come with that new administration in your building. and that goes all the way down to either the custodial or buildings and grounds level. There are going to be ripple effects all the way across this. So understanding your threats there. New control systems, which we're going to be dealing with in the next couple of years here. That's definitely a threat to every team. Realizing that we're all going to have to take a look at how we go about running these things, and having Corey and Todd around is definitely going to be able to move that into a strength category for us. And then SWOT analysis can help you identify threats, ways to counteract them depending on your strengths and weaknesses. SWOT analysis for us is beneficial for the capital purchases. So every time we have a capital purchase, and for us, we list out capital purchases on 4607 as anything costing more than $1,000 or is going to be with us for 5 years or longer. So when we started building this new pit a couple of years ago, we sat down and did a full SWOT analysis on, is this something that we really should be taking on, or is it something we can continue to live with our old pit, and what does this mean for us? Any types of projects that we start taking on, a lot of people do the parade robots, right? Great machines, they're fun to watch. I really wish that 4607 could build a parade robot at some point, but it's just not something that's feasible for us, because it seems that our season runs right into the parade season right away, and we never look far enough in advance. Off-season training, off-season events, regional competitions. Again, regional competitions, you got to start, 2 weeks from now is when FRC regional competitions open up. If you're not taking a look, we just had this discussion within our own table. Where are you going? Why are you going there? Is it far enough just to travel in a day travel and then back, or are we going to need a bus? All that kind of stuff needs to fall within that. It's also beneficial to these areas. This is just some of our departments and areas that we work with Becker. Little to no cost. These are nice benefits. It's a piece of paper, folks. It's just a piece of paper. We sit kids down, 2 to 4 kids at a table, and then multiple tables throughout the room or the area, and we start going over this exercise. It's easily attainable for all members. And the nice thing is once you start working with this on a regular basis, it just becomes natural for the students. For myself, it's always going through these 4 steps, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats whenever we make a decision. And it can help to develop goals and strategies, but here's the biggest thing, the limitations. It's only one part of the team development process. So you've got goal setting, 1, 2, 3 priorities, core values training, all that kind of stuff that helps build upon it. This is just an analysis. This doesn't do really anything else. It does place items into boxes. So it's not something where you can have this weird, I don't know where it belongs. It has to fit one of those 4 boxes, or it doesn't really fit in the analysis itself. It doesn't prioritize. Again, it's post-mortem process. You'll have to make those priorities yourself, and that's, again, that 1, 2, 3 priority type exercise you'll be doing later. Does not provide solutions or alternatives. It just showcases this is where we're at. It can generate too many ideas. That's the biggest problem. So when we sit down, we have our kids, again, go through this in groups of 2 to 4. Then we come together as a big group, and we put it all on one big piece of paper, again, and divide it up. We say, which ones can we actually concentrate on? The others are just going to fall by the wayside, the ones that are not that high on the priority list for us. 1, 2, or 3 areas that we can actually take a look at and start moving over is kind of where we're at. And it can produce a lot of information in a very short amount of time. This isn't something where you do over the course of multiple weeks. This is sitting down for an hour with your leadership team going over it, and sitting down for an hour with the rest of the team going over what this is. And I'm not going to get into all this stuff, but this is, yep.
Put the kids in groups, like typically try to move around, or do you find that you just do it with whatever 4 friends are together?
Whatever 4 friends are together. We've never had too much of a problem with them, coming up. Usually we all end up with the same general ideas. Especially when it comes to the postmortem status coming out of a regional, and all of a sudden you take a look at, hey, our robot didn't start for 8 out of the 10 times. That's a major concern for us, what's going on, right? The students in the stands can see it, the kids in the pit getting yelled at by the drive team, hey, the robot still isn't starting. The drivers sitting out there embarrassed, bypass 4607. Like they all kind of know what's going on with that. When it comes to something as early as this time of the season, it's training more than anything else. It's really training them to kind of see mentors. Most likely will be guiding them through this, and mentors from my team at bypass 4607. It's more training at this point. So identifying strengths in 2015. So that was just a little bit about that. Again, just background on it. I don't need to go through this. This is just anecdotal evidence. The goal setting, this is where it turns from SWOT into goal setting. One thing that I highly, highly recommend is every team sits down and starts going through your goals, not just for this season, but 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What we found in 4607 that first year, We met most of our 1, 3, and 5-year goals when that first year happened because our kids were not just the fact that, hey, we set a goal, we're going to make it, but they had a target to start shooting for, and they realized that we wanted to actually hit the ground running. They became a little more invested, and we also were very lucky. We were very lucky with what happened to us that first season or two. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Yep, right there. Brainstorm goals. This is that 2 to 4. Post them on one large. Like I said, we just talked about this. Come up with an overarching goal with that. And then this is one thing that I push on everybody. People that identify goals are more likely to be successful. People that write them down seem to be even more successful. And then publish their goals. It's that fear and motivation, right? Like I always ask the student, who runs faster, the man in anger or the man in fear? And here, the man in fear is going to run faster than anything else because they want to make sure that if I'm pushing this out there, telling people what I want to do, well, now it's on me type of thing. It's just a mentality set. 1, 5, and 10-year goals, goal setting, mentor teams. We don't need to go through all that. Again, anecdotal. We utilize SWOT to the fullest, but use our weaknesses and opportunities to redefine 4607. So that's kind of where we were at back in 2015 after we had an absolutely abysmal year. Creation of Jumpstart training events, spec check, creation of NDSU Bison Robotics, programming helpline, Central Minnesota Robotics, Minnesota United STEM Day, Minnesota Robotics Coaches Association, Minnesota Twins STEM Day came from the SWOT analysis. It wasn't like we just said, hey, we're going to do this one day. We tried to figure out what were some opportunities that were out there, what were our threats, and how can we move those over. This is my final slide. This is about as fast as I've been able to talk and get through this. Lack of experience, this is what we're all facing right now. Lack of experience, leadership vacuum, administration is going to be key in this. You need to partner. If you're not partnering through administration now, you darn well better because things are not going to change for the better, I don't think, right away. Again, none of us can forecast the future, but I have a feeling that we're going to still be in this weird mode, this transition stage with the pandemic. Training is absolutely key. I went around and talked to a couple of the newer teams. There's no better training in my book than actually getting these kids out on the field, getting to MRI, getting to MMR, getting to Uppsala. Whether the robot's broken, doesn't fit into the regulations, whatever else. Minnesota's really good about helping our younger teams out and getting them fast forwarded to that point.
On just the other day at EMC Squared, 5 teams, 6 robots. The number six robot didn't make it on the field till well after noon. But those kids, that process, we had 3 days working on the robot with them.
Dashboard, your dashboard as a team lead. So we're going to talk a little bit about landing pages, the dashboard, updating team contacts and how that works and why it's important. The new finance piece, which we all have to declare our tax status to first because they have to start charging us sales tax. All the new stuff about online consent forms. And I have spent a month pulling students and mentors through that process. It's been quite fun. There is a new team management page. And as Todd had mentioned earlier, there's mentor guides, there's mentor training, and we'll talk about a little bit more in depth about each one. So the landing page, which probably most of us are most familiar with, there are links upon links upon links once you start clicking on all of those buttons. There's all new resources behind each one. This is what we consider the public facing. So anybody can see it versus the private pages, which the lead mentors see, the lead 1 and the lead 2. All right. All of you have logged in, I hope, by this point to your team dashboard or to your own first account. Everybody has a dashboard that looks something like this at the top. And the main thing that you're looking for is, all right, I'm in, yay, where to get started.
Make sure you don't see anything red right here.
Right, exactly. That's, you're gonna get there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, like Todd was just saying, the first thing you may notice after you log in, there's a drop-down menu that comes down under your name. And if any of these show red, it means you have an action item. And that what that little red circle is saying is click on me. Most likely, you're going to have to update your acknowledgement forms. And if you're the lead mentor 1 and 2, right away, you have to do your youth protection screening. That is renewable every 4 years. So if it's your chance to renew, please log in and take care of that. So everything, by the time you're done, before you move anywhere else, everything in that blue box should be taken care of. Okay. The other things that, oh, hang on, go back just one little bit. The other things you're looking for, if you are the lead mentor 1 or 2, you're also looking at this box that says outstanding tasks. And then you're also looking for this lovely, your objective is to get to that event ready, that green light. That means on October 14th, you can log in and pick your first event that you want to go compete to. Absolutely.
So with the event ready, right, and getting ready for registration. We have somebody. How do we do that? Because I'm showing not event ready, but we have a commitment from Medtronic to pay our registration
Correct.
fees.
So the payment is separate from being event ready.
Because I can't put it in my shopping cart and do
Right.
anything with it.
Right. That means that there is a task that needs to be completed either by yourself or your other person who is that lead mentor 1.
Okay.
Or the person who is lead mentor 2.
Okay. So I've done, in my side, I've done everything except the registration and the shopping cart.
Okay.
So we can check the rest of it, but that should be sufficient, right? I don't have to actually get that registration through.
Right. You do not. Okay. You do not have to pay right now.
Right.
You don't have. You can if you wish to. Thank you, Sandy and Talon Robotics for paying your fee. You're ready to go. You don't have to.
Okay.
That bill has not come due yet. What by event ready, what that means is that your 2 mentors that are serving as your lead administrators have done all of those pre-registration tasks. That's all that is right now.
Coach is probably dropping a ball somewhere.
Get on it. Okay, you're trying to get to that event ready.
Got it.
But there's a lot that's going on in this new dashboard. There are all kinds of headers that until you click on those drop downs, you're not actually going to see what those action items are. So this is you can tell your mentors too, don't be afraid to click on anything. There are fewer and fewer black holes within the first website, so you won't get into a feedback loop quite as often. So you can really click through and see what are behind all of these buttons. Just click on it. There's information that will surprise all of us, since I don't even know what's up there at this point. But the team information, you're updating your team profile, you can enter in your sponsors, your school or your community organization. Please don't click on delete team, because then we have to put you back together again. And then there's a new button that's called Find Mentors. Under certificates and awards, you're going to find where you're going to submit for the Dean's List. There's also, within your dashboard, you can get to the season calendar. It's also public facing on the first website, but it's within your dashboard as well. All right, new this year. Okay. Let's talk about sales tax. New this year, first has the IRS finally got around to saying, hey, first you need to start collecting sales tax on your registrations and kit parts, because these are physical products that are changing hands. So what I found out having to do it for 1816 is that if you are a nonprofit, either standalone or you have a fiscal agent that's a 501c3, if you are literally sales tax exempt, in Minnesota, you have to upload your ST3 form to first. Yeah, Alex, I know. It was a pain. But that's the form that they're looking for. If you can get one, if you're with a school district or with a school that will provide you with that particular form, upload that form. But if you are in any way, shape, or form sales tax exempt, upload that form.
They also want you to make sure you put first as the.
Yes.
Yeah, it can't be a generic form.
It's not a generic
not
form. It
generic.
literally, and so that tells me we're gonna have to do it every year.
Yeah.
So yes, it has to be specific to that vendor, just as you would with any other vendor. Yeah, so that's how that works. So, if you don't, there's a little question that you as a team lead will have to answer. Yes, I have to essentially pay sales tax, or no, I'm sales tax exempt. You have to click in that box. There's a box that they're going to ask you to click one way or the other. And that means that you're one step closer to being ready to register. Under the box that talks about your payment and product, ordering replacement parts, once the kit of parts is released, once you've paid your first round registration fee, you get the passwords and voucher codes for your 2022 kit of parts. The drive base opt-out is going to figure prominently when we're asked to register for whatever kickoff we're attending. I pay no attention to the founders reception because I don't think First is inviting anybody to New Hampshire for the kickoff. And then additional information about how to give them money. And it's red on my shopping carts because I have not paid First any money yet. Okay. Team mentors, all of you. Go back to your team leads and say, we've got to get everybody registered and get everyone registered online. In very, very tiny little print this year, First is telling all of us mentors and coaches, everybody has to have a consent form online before you even meet for the first time as a team. Yeah, I know. I know you're all looking at me like, you're kidding me.
Say, whoops.
Yeah, it was kind of, I had that, wait, what are we supposed to do? So, as I say, I have spent the last, as Yoshi can tell you, he's heard me every day for the last couple of
Wait a minute,
weeks.
can I record you and send you to all the mentors?
Can you answer just two quick questions?
Yeah.
Number one, does First understand that this never works?
Uh-huh.
And two, is there any potential resolution so that we're not wasting our time?
It actually does work. You just have to make people do it. It literally, once I got people to open up the link, they were through it in 5 minutes. It's convincing people to log in and.
Has something changed since last year?
Yes,
I hope so.
yes, it absolutely.
Okay,
But
then I'll give it another shot.
please do. And if not, I'll give you my card. I will walk you through. And they also have people who are now working, I want to say Tuesdays and Thursdays until very late in the evening where you can actually call and talk to a live person and they will walk you through. I have had a number of people have their problems addressed immediately. And so I have 28 students and 28 mentors now all registered with First Online, which is amazing considering that in prior years, it has taken us until kickoff to get everybody done. But there are really, really good step-by-step instructions. There's really, really good customer help at First headquarters. And back to let's have some fun. One of the ways I've heard that teams are addressing it is that you have essentially everybody at the same time. You have an evening where it's a team social and you do it all in person at the same time, like in a computer lab, or you have a couple of laptops and everyone does it at the same time. And it is a parent-student kind of working side by side. The biggest problem that we run into is a parent's account is not linked to a student's account. That's been the only problem, which is amazing.
On that question, does it matter whether the parent or the student goes first?
Sometimes the students initiate it and the parents then drop the ball and don't get the email to go in and do it. I've had better success having the parents initiate the process, but you can do it both ways. There is on that drop-down menu, when you first log in and that blue box, there's a secret little line that says roles and invitations. More often than not, if someone didn't get the email bounce that they're supposed to from First, it's underneath. If they click on that, it often opens up saying, here's the task that you need to do, or here's the role that you've been invited to, or you need to finish. But more often than not, I've seen that get filled in. And that happens especially with volunteer emails that come out of the First systems. Sometimes those emails don't go through, they go into spam, but that invite shows up in their dashboard. So that's another place to check. Okay. Because we all love videos, there's now, that link will take you to a video that you can even send out to your parents as well. It's like, it's all the registration information that anybody could ever possibly want to know about doing all of this. It is key to United States teams, I will say that. So lucky us, we get to give it a pilot run. So some of the interesting new things that have popped up this year is there's a First mentor network that if your team is looking for, at the moment, looking for additional online help, someone to come in and help you remotely with a particular issue. All of those links that are in bold and yellow are hot linked to precisely those pieces of information on the First website. These are all, I would say, public facing. So you don't have to go into your dashboard to get them. The First Mentor Network, it's an online platform. You as a team mentor can go in and say, my team would like to have help in a particular area. Or if you're like Todd and you don't sleep, you have plenty of free time, you could offer yourself as a resource and someone could contact you for help in a particular area. That's what it looks like. Click on mentoring help. Welcome to the Mentor Network. Either find a team, find a mentor. And I'll just put a plug in for the other one. Event volunteering. Yeah. Okay. Those will be live soon. I guess I can't emphasize enough, especially as you yourselves are interacting with other individuals in the First community who are perhaps struggling to get their team's event ready. You'll want to have them to make sure that they have access to that Lead Mentor 1, Lead Mentor 2 dashboard. Those are the only two contacts that first actually records and then shares with someone like Ken Rosen, who's the regional director. We don't, as first staff, we don't have access to all 50 mentors that CIS might have. The only official communications that are going out are going to whoever's identified in that lead 1 or lead 2 slot. So the reason that that's also important is there's a new curriculum that FRC is beginning to pilot under something called ThinkScape. They have it as curriculum for Lego League. They have it as curriculum for First Tech Challenge. It's now live and available to your lead mentors under the ThinkScape button. And they're starting to populate. So if you want to know everything there is to know about the WPI library, it's in there. It's a lot of really good basic starting information. It's only available right now to lead mentor 1 and 2 because they're just building it and they're piloting it. But I was in there and I'm actually astounded at what's been put in there in the last couple months.
What kind of content is it? Like videos, web page? Oh, okay.
This one's just programming.
FRC docs.
It's all
FRC
kinds of docs. I mean,
Okay.
it's a lot of, I would call it really basic information. I think that, for a team, or someone like Todd who's working with a team, this is not something that he may necessarily need to refer to, but it's a fabulous starting point to get people on the same page. I would recommend, if you haven't already bookmarked on your computer, there's been a lot of information that was sent out over the summer that is now in the archives. So there's an email archive, there's the blog, and please follow FRC teams on Twitter. I don't usually promote Twitter, but I find out about things from FRC by following Twitter. It'll tell me if there's a new blog or an email blast with important information for my team. This is at the very, very bottom of the team resources page. They're hot linked to exactly those places, and you can then bookmark them as well. So this is where you want to be by October 14th. You want to make sure that your lead mentor 1 and 2 are registered through background checks. If nothing else, they've started to register students and mentors online. We're not going to be asking you for paper at competitions this year. If you don't have paper, you're going to have to go back to your hotel room and file in all of it online. But by October 14th, you want to have that happy little green event ready light, and you'll be able to pick your first event that you want to go to this year.
I'm just wondering about that, not having paper. So I have a number of contacts, mentor contacts, some of which are kind of mentors, not really mentors. I've just left them off because they don't attend competition with us, and they didn't ever complete the consent and release forms, but I don't know. I'm still hopeful that they'll be with us, so I left them on there. What are you going to do with that at competitions? Can I just say, hey, they're not with us? The rest of us are all okay.
You'll still print out, I think the plan is to still print out a roster,
Okay.
and you can just,
Yeah. Take them
you
out.
could just, actually just put a red line through anybody who's not there with you
Okay.
at the event.
But Lori, are they looking for the mentors or just most of the students then?
The students have to all be registered online. It's the mentors who sometimes, if the mentor is not actually at the competition, just take them off.
Yeah. They usually check that. And they check, make sure the consent release is done. That's the big one, it's not.
It's the consent to release.
So are you saying that they're gonna change this where it's, that we still got written paper, or are they gonna have access to it?
They're still talking about whether we'll have to.
Before to get your packet, you had to show this and they had to make sure they had everything set.
Not 100% sure what that new protocol will be with COVID. We're trying to reduce the amount of paper that actually gets shuffled around. Last I checked, they were still thinking you'd have to show a roster.
So for Lori and Karen that have experienced that.
I've never experienced either. Lori Bailey takes care of that, so I'm kind of wondering, what is that process? For me, whenever we go
Right.
out, it's like, this is just kind of a process that's kind of never used from my perspective, so what is?
Right.
Bring to.
So as
that you.
what I would usually do is I take care of this. And you go to pit admin, you have to bring your roster up here now, and that tells them you have parent consent release forms for all your students and mentors at the event. It's your roster. Once you get that, they verify, then they give you the packet of information that's.
Which includes your buttons to get on the field. That's,
Yes. Tells you all the schedules and everything, and it's pit admin.
It's your entry.
Yeah.
And it's a pain because if you have that one student, every team kind of has this event. One student that doesn't have their parent consent. You have to get a piece of paper signed. We'd like to encourage them to do it online. And that's maybe what Josh is having issues with. You know, we have these students and then we get smart students that go on and do it for their parents. Log in, check mark that's consent release online.
Parents get lost and the students don't know how to guide them and just never get done.
And I've got a lot of immigrant families and they're not online.
Right.
I mean, this is
The
an
biggest,
insurmountable obstacle.
yeah, the biggest problem we've seen is the students that are returning lost their password.
oh yeah, so many passwords.
We're just gonna see how this all plays out.
Resend
You're right, I think, Lori, I think at registration night, register with the team and click the next page. Now we all go through this at a computer lab, and that's what's going through my mind right now. I don't see any other way around it.
That has been a model that's been used very successfully by other teams. It's essentially, it's one big happy, we're all together. It also helps for our new families and for families that are English second language, our immigrant families. We don't let them go swimming alone. We're actually kind of all together doing it together.
Right.
It's actually become more difficult even to request the paper forms to have families sign. They're not readily available. You actually have to go through your regional director for First Robotics. You have to contact Ken Rosen and he'll send you to me. So it's just come to
What's
me
the consequence of just not registering them
as students or,
or supplementary?
um,
I mean, they're probably registered.
it's
Cool,
more
not-
so the kids that you really want to focus on and your lead mentors.
So if they're not registered, can they not participate?
The issue is one of liability.
Right.
Once you step
Right.
into an event site, it's a whole liability issue. So that's why that consent is
That
needed.
would be the students that you wouldn't necessarily, I mean, because pits are open to the public typically.
It's open
We-
to the
So
public.
Yeah,
it'd
we
be like
just-
the people on the field,
Yeah.
that's the registered, right? And they were actively working in the pit.
Everybody should be registered.
Everybody
What we tell our kids that if you're gonna travel with the team, you have to be registered.
Everybody should be
You're welcome
registered.
to come with your parents and then I'm not counting you and I'm not, whatever, you're not.
What other consequences, on the front, what the consequences are.
You can't actively participate.
Unfortunately, that really is the case now. There's, and I just know through Edina Schools, we have multiple levels now of acknowledging consent and opt-in and liability. That's only increased now with our new era.
Do people have any good practices to share with parent meetings around parent expectations and involvement? I would love if people had something around that.
Handbooks,
No, I'd like to get some of that too.
team handbook.
Is it up there?
No, I'm just thinking of the team handbook.
No, you can make a team handbook. I mean,
But there's
that's,
examples out there.
Yeah.
Like
too.
with other, yeah, like.
yeah. And First has a couple of resources up under supplemental resources. It'll take you to something called the Compass Alliance. And they have additional resources that they make available to help teams along those lines as well. You know, what should you ask of parents? You know, what's appropriate to ask a parent.
What was that resource?
It's under supplemental resources, the Compass Alliance.
Compass?
The Compass Alliance, and they have a lot of additional team resources that they make available.
Either way, on this particular presentation that Todd's gonna send us out in a PDF or
Yes.
something. That
Or
that
remote.
video, if we follow those instructions in the video, it should work flawlessly because you've experienced it to work that way. Okay, great.
I had
Appreciate it.
fewer problems getting things done this year, but I actually ran into more just convincing people to work with me and get the consent forms done. What I am finding, and you may find this as well, parents and families are really, really, really stressed. And that's why I say, back to having fun, make it a fun night, get everyone together as much as you can, even if you're doing it online together, like a Zoom call. Just make it fun, and just everyone doing it together seems to make a really, really big difference. Misery loves company, and everyone's miserable doing it for 5 minutes. They're like, oh, we're done. Yeah, we can go play Pokemon. Now I've dated myself. We don't play Pokemon anymore. Do we?
So, Karen, if you have problems with this, please reach out, because this is a sticky point when I'm into mentors or coaches. A new team particular, Josh already brought, but it's one of the most difficult things to get through. Is getting your team getting that roster right when you walk into a regional event.
Can you say anything about what kickoff in terms of, is there gonna be something, or are you still planning, or is that still?
It depends on the kickoff location that you're going to. I believe in the Twin Cities that it's not going to be a live kickoff event at the University of Minnesota, that it's going to be a drive-through, pick up your kit of parts at a designated location. We ran into some significant issues trying to make it live, that large an event at the U right now. So that was the decision that just got made for the cities. But other locations are live and in person. So it's really going to depend on